I realized that recently I spent too much of my time on the phone, and this time is not productive. And it's actually quite the opposite. It's destructive for me. I check my phone too often, like reading late at night. And, the information I consume is not something useful, it's just, some random video I'll watch on the internet. At some point, I understood that it does not make my life better. Our brains are quite tricky. We always demand some inflow of information to process. It's like it's really difficult to just sit still and do nothing. Like sit here and watch at the wall, like look at the wall, or just, observe something that's not interesting, where things do not pop up like every single second and no sound effect is going on. It's just difficult to sit still. And I think we are designed this way, like we need some constant stimulation. Or maybe it's just the 21st century problem, I don't know, but it is what it is. It's hard to do nothing. And checking your phone is the easiest thing you can actually do, because, just you spend 1 second of your time unlocking your phone, and then there is a ton of information, videos, like text, and we get addicted to it, because just brain gets stimulated, and then we just check our phone. And I realized in my case, I do this like a lot, like really a lot, like maybe 5 6 hours a day. I just spend mindlessly scrolling and reading some info, just checking apps, without even thinking that I need to do something. It became a habit, and it became a destructive habit. Destructive in a sense because, well, it's useless. And not only it's useless, there is lots of negative news, negative information. And so it makes me anxious and angry and unhappy in general. And I go to sleep late because I cannot stop scrolling my phone. And because I go to sleep late, then I wake up late and I feel exhausted. And, I don't have enough energy to run the day the way I want it to run. And I think it's important to understand that the habit you are trying to change is a destructive one. Because otherwise, why would you change something if it's not bad for you? Like, I think that once you understand the bottom line, that this habit makes my life worse, then it's much easier to start acting on changing it. Rather than just, everybody talks about it, that it's bad. Unless you experience it in your own life, like on your own example, then you wouldn't have the will to actually change this habit that you have. So the point of this video, I wanted to share how to actually stop mindlessly scrolling. And I want to give my real example. Like, it's not something that I've read on the internet. I want to talk about my personal experience here. So I know for sure that this works. Okay? The only way to stop mindlessly scrolling your phone, or, distracting yourself, is actually by replacing this habit with something more useful, such as education. So as I said, we scroll, we watch mindlessly just because we need some information to process, so we don't get bored. The only other way to stimulate our brains, which is not harmful but actually quite useful, is by paying attention to something, to the content which is educating, like long-term educational videos, such as, books, and something that you might be interested in. And, by watching this, you will get more knowledge, and you can actually then apply this knowledge to something practical and useful, and, become a smarter, more aware human being. So what I'm saying is, instead of watching short content videos just for entertainment, we can actually replace this habit with educational content, long-term content. Like, listening to a podcast, but not just gossiping podcast, but educational one, or watching any educational video where a smart guy talks about something that you're interested in. At least this piece of information is educational, and it will get you somewhere. Like, you'll progress, your brain will start to analyze this information, and once you learn, you spend too much energy on learning. And because uh let's say I give you an example. I recently watched a video on like logic, like how to improve your logic, how to train your logic, what is logic, and there is some puzzles to solve. And this thing, it actually drew my energy in such a way that after 1 hour of watching, I was so tired, I actually didn't want to check my phone or do anything. So because and this is a like useful exercise to do. When you watch something educational, it acts as a replacement of a mindless scrolling habit. And this replacement is a healthy one. So it has the same effect on your brain. Like, you consume information, you process this information. This what we want, like internally, because we always want to consume something, like, I mean, mentally, like information, inflow, everything. But instead of focusing on mindless things, you focus on educational things. So you get better, you get smarter. So you do not just like force yourself to stop scrolling, you just replace it with something else, like education. That's what I want to say. That's what I want to share. And I found this really useful in my life, and maybe it will help, maybe not. So once again, this is just my personal experience. I don't pretend to be any professional psychologist, but yeah, I just gave you my 2 pennies. So that's all.